With more and more comic conventions popping up every single weekend, we have to start to ask ourselves, is this sustainable? Are we in a bubble? And if so, when is that bubble going to burst? I just got back from Phoenix Fan Fusion. I talked to some of my friends about this very topic. I also have some of my own opinions as to, could this be the beginning of the end of comic conventions? Greetings, people of the internet. I'm Scott with Surfworks Art Labs. Welcome, mad creators, to the underground laboratory where we create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. And once we've created those things, sometimes we take them out to comic conventions and we sell that stuff. I just got back from Phoenix Fan Fusion, formerly Phoenix Comic Fest, formerly Phoenix Comic Con. It's had a few name changes and a few changes. I've been doing this show for a little while and I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of things that are trending. Some of this may be specific to this particular comic convention, some of this may be across the board, but I just, like I said, I came away with a lot of just insight into kind of how I'm going to be moving forward. I'm going to talk a little bit about that after I show you some footage of the convention. But something that I've been thinking a lot about recently is just comic conventions in general and whether they are still a viable way for artists to earn money off of their art. I think there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons recently as far as some of the things that are trending in comics and some things other people have spoken about that I may touch on as well. But first, I think I just want to take you to the conventions. I want to show you my setup, and then, I've asked some of my friends kind of their opinion of this very topic. So we're going to do that, and in order to do that, we're going to go up here to the paralleloscope and check out Phoenix Fan Fusion 2019. Greetings, everyone. I am here at Phoenix Fan Fusion, formerly Phoenix Comic Con. This is the Mad Scientist Supply Company, Surfworks Art Labs. And so this is my setup today. I've got some prints. This is the new one. If you look right down here, you can see some of my lab products. But I thought it'd be cool since I actually sell these products, and if any of you guys are old enough to remember the old ads that were in the back of comics where you mail away and you get like, X-ray glasses or those bodybuilding kits or whatever. That was kind of my answer to this. So I just took all the products I actually have and I built a print around it and kind of made it that old retro style. And of course I've got the large 20 by 30 prints, the 12 by 18 prints. I've got smaller stuff like postcards. Of course, I got my comic book, Young and the Dead, which is Kids versus Zombies. It's kind of like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. I do a lot of, if you want to decorate your underground lair, I've got tons of signs you can hang up here. This one is a very popular one, my favorite, Henchmen Wanted. So if you're looking for henchmen, disposable henchmen. But these are all great things to hang up in your office or whatever. This is exclusive to Phoenix Comic Con. This is kind of just a kind of breakdown of the kind of people you see here, kind of the tropes and everything, the memes, just different things, the geek guy and geek girl. Over here, these are new. Well, let me go over here first. So this is my Retrovention series. These are things that could never really exist in this timeline, like a Viewmaster slash Polaroid Instamatic camera. Same thing with the portable 45 RPM player and the combination Game Boy Tarry 2600, which I affectionately dubbed the Arcade Boy. So I've had these for a while, but what I decided to do was now I've got them as enamel pins. So these are brand new enamel pins. And I've got a friend of mine, I'll give a shout out to Holly Brown. She's got a new company where she does these woodcuts. So I had some done from her. They're beautiful, I love them. And I've got magnets and pins of those. And of course, I've got the stickers, the old standbys, the stickers, the buttons. And right over here, these are my original sketches that I did for March of Robots. Just blue ink on white, that's backwards. White ink on blue paper, and they're all different and they're all original. And every time I sell one of these, I'm kind of like sad because I'm sorry to see them go, but I'm glad they're finding a happy home. So anyway, that's kind of what I got going on. Oh, we forgot over here. Let's see. I've got my postcards. There's some fun postcards here. Just all kinds of nerdy, geeky, science stuff. This is a favorite of mine. If anyone knows what a tardigrade or a water bear is, you cannot kill them by any means. They're pretty much They'll live in the vacuum of space. They'll be frozen. You can freeze them, burn them up, and they will survive. So that's kind of my unstoppable mascot. And then, of course, the 3D print, which I wish I could put this up to the camera so you could see the 3D, but it doesn't work that way. So, but that's Surfworks Art Labs for 2019. We're at Phoenix Fan Fusion, and that's the setup. All right, everyone, I am here with Daniel from Steam Crow, and today we're talking about just cons in general, the state of cons. You're a veteran. You've been doing it for a long time. You've seen trends come and go. I've noticed now you're heavy on the t-shirts, whereas before it was prints. But I'm just curious from you, as somebody who's been doing this for a while and seen all these trends, where do you think things are going with cons, and what would be your advice to somebody who wants to get into it now? Don't. Besides, don't. You gotta.
Yikes. So the first question, state of cons.
Right.
I think we're at a point where the market is fairly saturated.
Right.
You've got to be careful about what shows to choose, and it's tough because there's been a huge onslaught of every artist possible getting into shows, and so I don't know, man. I think it's a harder market than it's ever been, and also I see a lot of people doing the same thing, and I think doing the same thing is a bad idea at cons at all. If your approach is going to be I'm going to do fan art of the same thing that everyone else is doing in the same way, I don't know. That to me seems like a short-sighted way to approach it. I think you need to have your own vision of what you're making, what you're, like the flavor of what you're making, the opinion, you need to have a take on what you're doing that's special somehow. It needs to be weirder or more you or stranger or funnier or gross, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. And so I think that'll help you. For us, ours is vintage old-timey monsters and monster rangers, so it's a community and it's products and it's story all tied together. So we've had to invent our own story to make our products sell. Right. So that's that. In terms of advice for somebody getting into a show, I would say don't just jump into a show if you're a beginning artist. I think it's important to get your chops up, like draw a whole bunch, get really good. And I think also, again, figure out what you're about, what you're not about, and have a viewpoint on what you're making, both in the style, but also in the story or the approach of what your stuff is. So when somebody comes up to your booth, they can kind of understand what makes you special and different.
You said you've kind of moved away from prints.
Yeah. So I've met a lot of people that are, that said their sales are going down, and I'm like, what do you do? And they're like, well, we do prints. I'm like, well, yes, print sales have gone down for everybody. And they like, no, you don't understand. I do prints a lot. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I did prints a lot. That was, for 10 years, that's 90% of anything I ever sold. I was one of the pioneers of giant print walls with original art, which, 15 feet high, 20 feet wide. And that market evaporated on me. Kind of in one year, that market imploded.
Right.
And luckily I had a Kickstarter called Ultra Egos where I made some shirts, and I took the money I made from that Kickstarter and invested into more stock of those shirts. And when that collapse happened, shirts sold and prints didn't. And it floated me, it kept me alive. So the following year, I bought a press. I bought a 6-color press from the biggest maker in the world. They happened to have a press that was only $5,000 when a 6-color press was typically 10 grand.
Right.
And we made that investment, and I was like, man, I don't know. This is either going to be a great idea or a terrible idea. Ask me in 5 years. Okay. And so we're 4 years into it, and I would say it was a good idea.
Good.
We print our own shirts, but it takes a lot of work. I live in the desert, so that means I can't use water-based inks because they'll evaporate in the screen. And that means you're printing shirts in July in a garage in Arizona. Yeah. So if it's 115 degrees, your garage is 140 and you're out there working next to a heater.
Yeah.
It's not easy money, but we can control the art, we can make it look great and all that. So for me, it works.
Yeah, so where can we find you, Daniel?
So you can find me at steamcrow.com, which is our store, and monsterrangers.com for our online community. So check it out.
Hey everyone, we're here with Gary Hodges from DVM 1975. I got that right. DVSM, sorry.
There we go.
I know Dinosaurs versus Marsbots, but then I have to try to figure out what's the acronym. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, we've had you in the Artcaster, so Artcasters watchers probably remember Gary. But what I wanted to talk about today is just sort of your opinion on the state of cons. Now, I know you're in kind of a unique situation because you used to do cons, you took a break and to kind of come up with the idea for your comic, and now you're back. So as sort of a first year back, and this may not be exactly to give behind the scenes of this convention, may not be the best time because we've still got 2 days to go. Today,
2 big days.
Yeah, 2 big days. Today's been sort of slow, so it may not be the best time to do this interview, but still I kind of, based on what we know or what your opinions are, or what do you think sort of the future, you think people are having con fatigue? You think things are still going strong? Are there too many cons? Just what's your opinion of the kind of the future or where cons are right now?
Boy, that's tough. You know, my impression, yeah, as you mentioned, I took a couple years off. I came back this year because I had a comic. In the past, I haven't had comics. I've had prints and coloring books and things like that. It's about how I remember, but bigger. And my experience so far. So this is Friday. We went Thursday and Friday. My experience so far. Experience of everyone else I've been talking to is yesterday was okay, today has been kind of slow. But there's a ton of people and a ton of traffic. My concern is that it's just so big and overwhelming.
Yeah, I don't know that there's been a ton of people in traffic, at least from what...
Really?
I know you weren't here last year, but it seems like at least today there's less...
Is it down?
A lot less people. So
well, I think
now there's 2 floors, so there could be people upstairs, and maybe they're coming down. We're going to have to wait. And again, we're just talking about this particular show, Phoenix Comic, or Phoenix Fan Fusion, which they've changed the name.
Right.
So it'll be interesting. But every year I'm kind of like, I think this might be my last year, and then I end up re-upping. So
I'm kind of. We'll see how tomorrow and the next day go, and those will be the tests.
Yeah.
Saturday, I've been telling everybody, most people they're not going to do the whole event. They're going to do one day.
Right.
If they're going to pick one day, they're going to buy a ticket for Saturday.
Right.
So tomorrow, it's going to make it or break it.
Right.
If tomorrow's great, then it'll all be okay. If tomorrow's also a bust, which I have reasons, and we talked about this before, it could be. There's a lot of big draw movie stars and stuff to get pictures with, and that's very expensive, and people might spend all their money on that.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But my attitude as of today is maybe like an every other year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that sounds about right. I do think though it's like people are overwhelmed with options. Like it would be very understandable if you came here, if you see the map of the floor plan, you could cruise, you could spend a few hours here and maybe never walk by my or your particular booth.
Yeah, no,
like I mean,
no
it's
doubt.
just so much.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of it, like I was telling friends, and my girlfriend, I was saying it's too bad we don't have like a designated indie creator area.
Yeah.
You know, like something that's just, it's not fan art, it's not anything related
well,
to
I know that would be nice. I know towards over there, but I think they're more invited guests, but there is a whole group of just comic creators.
Are there?
But I still think that they should try to push more indie, even if you're not invited closer over there, so it's kind of, because I think people that are into one thing are going to congregate around there, so.
Yeah. I think it'd be easier for people who are interested in that to find that, you know, so.
And then for people like me who do comics but a bunch of other stuff, I don't know where I would fit into that.
Well, and I have to admit, like, it's been reassuring to hear a lot of people are saying like it's a little slow, but I also know that I'm kind of doing a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's my own. It's an indie brand. It's kind of a weird, complicated idea you have to pitch and explain to people when they slow down and look at your tables. Like it's not going to be doing the business of like if I was doing the obvious big popular thing.
Right.
You know. So
yeah, you mentioned pitching. Do you want to pitch your book real quick?
Okay, so this is Dinosaurs versus Marsbots. Dinosaurs versus Marsbots tells the top secret story about an attempted Martian invasion that began in about the mid-70s, and the government decided to fight it off by recreating dinosaurs. It's all very top secret. I hope I've put you in danger just explaining this to you, but like that's the pitch. So I've got coloring books, I've got prints, I've got collected prints in a book, and now this time I have the first issue of the comic. I got the second one in the works, but the first, this is set in 1975. It's 2 men in black responding to the scene of a what they think is probably just an alien abduction or something, and it goes bad. It goes really ugly. So that'll be the beginning of the story. No dinosaurs yet, but it's getting going. So
yeah, I always like to say that to me it's like Pulp Fiction meets Men in Black.
I love that analogy, and I've been trying to use it when I pitch it to people. It's like a little bit, Pulp Fiction meets X-Files, kind of a
Yeah, and you're working on the second issue, which
working on the second one, which will be next year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Gary. Good talking to you.
Thank you so much for coming by.
All right, thanks. All right, everyone. I am here with Brandon Dayton. He is the writer and illustrator of Green Monk, among other things. He does some really cool dark crystal stuff, which I got to track down this book. But I've been following you for a while, since back in the Art and Story days. Used to love your YouTube channel. But I'm just curious, it seems like you were doing conventions for a while and then maybe stopped because to work on your book. Now you're back. But what I've been talking to people about is kind of what you feel like the state of conventions right now. You think there's a con fatigue going on? What do you see in the future? Kind of, what are your opinion on kind of where we're at right now?
Well, as far as con fatigue is concerned, I'm definitely feeling pretty fatigued today. Long day. It's been a slow day today. It's been really interesting to see how conventions have evolved over the last several years. You're definitely seeing kind of a schism where you're having conventions going kind of this fan route that are very fan focused, celebrities, a lot of prints of fan art kind of dominating the artist alleys. And then you also have kind of like the comic art fests, which are much more focused on the comic book specifically. And so the comic art fests, it seems like I'm still doing pretty well at as far as selling books. The fan fest, it's yet to be seen. I mean, this is a Friday. This is kind of the first big convention I've done that's kind of a more fan focused. And Fridays do tend to be kind of slow. So we'll see this weekend as far as how well I do, actually selling books.
Right.
So it's a real question of like comic book artists, how well they can do at conventions these days,
And I think it's tough because I've always done my own original stuff, and it's kind of hard because people just aren't familiar with it. People like what they're familiar with, so. But you do enough of the shows, I find repeat customers, things like that, and so I don't know. It's like every year I say this is probably going to be my last year because I'm of the opinion that I think I could make more money doing something else besides cons. But I like doing it. Really, I'm only doing this one because it's my local show, and I like the people that keep coming back, and I don't want to disappoint them. So, like every year, like I said, this may be my last year, but then I re-up. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going through the same thing. I mean, almost every convention I've done since the new Green Monk book came out, I've had a moment during the convention where I'm just like, this is just not fun anymore. And that's obviously kind of when you're having the slow times. But I look at the numbers, and some of the conventions I've done actually like, it makes sense for me to do this.
Yeah, that's good. There's some silver lining there.
But still, it's still much more of like a grueling task than it has been in the past. More of a grind, I guess.
All right, Brandon. Well, it was good seeing you again. It's been a while, but good luck at the rest of the show. I think I'm pretty confident. I'm hoping it'll pick up because it is Friday. We got Saturday and Sunday, so hopefully for both of us it'll pick up a little.
That would be nice. Yeah.
All right, take it easy, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh wait, do you want to tell people where you can find you online?
Oh yeah, online. I mean, I do have my YouTube channel. Haven't been posting there very often. Probably won't be posting there much more, but there's a bunch of content there. So you can go to Brandon Dayton on YouTube, find that. Most of the stuff I'm posting is to Instagram nowadays. You can just look me up on Instagram. It's MB Dayton. But if you look up Brandon Dayton, you'll find me too. Yeah.
Awesome, Brandon. Well, good luck at the rest of the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so I'm here with Sean from Shawnee Poo, and you may recognize Sean. We've had him on the Artcasters before, and you started doing shows. How long ago did you start doing shows? Man. You haven't been doing it for too long, right?
I think I started 2012, 2013.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Okay, so in that time, what I'm kind of asking people is where they think the state of comic conventions are going. Do you think that con fatigue is setting in? Do you find you're still kind of earning this, more or less than what you have been? Do you have any advice on what direction you might want to go to kind of stay with the times? I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
What I'm seeing is this. What I'm finding is each and every year, yes, I've seen a decrease in what I'm getting back. And that's all fine and dandy. I still have the passion. I still find joy, and I still get the gas. I still fill up the gas tank from doing these shows and meeting people. But what I'm realizing is you gotta be versatile. You can't just do the art prints. If you're just doing art prints, yeah, that's gonna end up hurting you. So introducing buttons, introducing stickers, introducing t-shirts and hats. I mean, I think that's the thing that's going to help out any one of us. But the main thing is find your niche. Right? Find your niche. And find it, hold on to it, create it, cultivate it, make it grow. That's what I've learned.
And also another aspect of this that we haven't talked about is just sort of the community aspect. Honestly, that's one of the reasons that keeps me coming to these conventions, because I'm pretty sure I could make more money designing something else and either selling it online or focusing more on building my online presence and everything. But it's just actually getting out here and seeing the people that keep returning year after year and wanting to talk to them, wanting to interact. And you're doing something similar where you are doing art classes and you're teaching comics to kids, which is really awesome. So you want to talk about that? Talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So when I do kids art classes, it's me trying to give back. It all stems from me finding my passion, which is Shoddy Poo. It's me finding that, and it's me trying to give back. And for 30 years of my life, I've told this story. I had no direction. I didn't believe in myself. But once I found that dream, oh, my life is opened up. Oh, my world is opened up. And now that I have it, I just want to share it. And it's not just sharing it, I want others to realize their true potential. And so that's what I'm doing with kids. I'm not just teaching them art in the art classes, I'm teaching them to believe in themselves. I'm teaching them to dream big and to learn as much as they can so they can get those dreams. And then last but not least, I'm teaching them to smile. Smile each and every day. That's my big thing, is to keep smiling, because life is so short. There's always going to be ups, there's going to be plenty of downs, but if you keep a smile on your face, it's just going to make each day easier, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you've even got right here, you can donate for smiles.
Yes, in fact, I'm trying to do a dollar raffle, where we're going to pick the winner on Sunday. The winner gets to pick one of these big, huge posters. And all the proceeds that we raise from the raffle goes directly into the Kids Art account. So it's not going to me or my business, it's going to the Kids Art, growing that. And things are happening, and it's going to get bigger and bigger. Watch out for next year. I've got big plans, and I just cannot wait.
That sounds awesome. All right, Sean, where can they find you online?
You can find me on SeanSauter.com and also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah. You can find me everywhere almost.
All right, Sean. Well, good luck at the rest of the show. Great talking to you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Later. So there you go. Those are some opinions of some of the people I talked to, just about what their viewpoint was on the direction comic conventions are going. Some of it across the board, some of it in regards to Phoenix Fan Fusion in particular. I do want to talk about my experience with Phoenix Fan Fusion. I have been exhibiting there. I think this is probably like my second year. And if you have been keeping up with me, usually every year I'll do a wrap up. Phoenix Fan Fusion has sort of, and its previous iterations as Phoenix Comic Con and everything, have had kind of a bumpy road out of the past 4 years, there's been like 3 false alarms where the building had to be evacuated. There was an incident with an armed gunman that tried to go in, like take out the Green Power Ranger and cops, and the guy was really mentally disturbed. Fortunately, they did catch the guy before anything happened, but that sort of put in a chain of events with just massive security and everything, which is good. I mean, they're trying to keep everyone safe, but I think some people might have been either a little scared away or not want to deal with the security, or have dealt with the security and not wanted to deal with it again. So that's all in unfortunate circumstances. So some of these things could be just in regards to this particular convention. But I've talked to a lot of people about conventions in general. I recently read a blog post by Jake Parker, who has been doing conventions in a while, and he has seen a steady decline. And I've kind of heard that from almost everyone I've talked to who have been doing shows for a while, that there is definitely a decline as far as the amount of money they're able to pull into the shows. Last year, ironically, and I don't know what it was, Phoenix Fan Fusion for me, it was probably one of my, I think it might have been one of my best conventions. There were a lot of things that I changed, things that I tried to do differently that I think may have helped me out. That wasn't the case with a lot of the people that I talked to last year, and it certainly wasn't the case for me this year. I went from basically what was my best year, I think, to my worst year, like by far. I mean, it was just a massive drop off, and yeah, I don't know what the deal was this year. I don't know if it's con fatigue. I really don't know what, but it just seemed like, I don't know what the actual attendance numbers were, but it seemed like it was way down, and what people were there, they definitely weren't spending money, and if they were, it wasn't an artist alley. It could have been like with autographs and things, and I think that's where a lot of things are trending to. I think when I say are conventions going away, I don't think they're going away. I think they're going to shift, and I don't know. Obviously they need people to come in and exhibit and bring in their art and everything to sell it and pay for those tables in order to have the money to bring in these big celebrities. But somewhere down the line, something's got to break, because if the people that are paying for the tables aren't able to make money, and now there are waiting lists. There's still a waiting list for a lot of these cons to get in, and a lot of the people there this year were new people that have been waiting to get in, because last year so many people said, yeah, I can't make money anymore. And unfortunately, that's kind of the situation I'm in. This year was so bad. I mean, I may have made a profit. If I did, it was very small margin, and that's not even really considering my time, which I value. I mean, I took until I think Saturday for me to just, at the end of Saturday, just to make the table, and then there was Sunday, which was my best day, but and then there's all kinds of other factors to consider. There's your taxes. Again, you got to consider your time. And I just think my time is more valuable maybe doing some other things, maybe looking into some other kinds of events that suit me a little better. One of the reasons is because, as you know, I don't really sell a lot of fan art at shows, or any fan art at shows. I think people doing fan art, I think they can still sort of do that, but I think that's dropping off as well. So I'm going to be looking at doing, I've been doing a lot of, not a lot, but I've done a couple design conferences which are sort of centered around designers. You go there and you hear speakers and things like that, and a lot of them do have sort of a vendor area, and they're very small, and there's a number of people there that they're not there really looking for, oh, I want my Deadpool print or my Harlequin print. They want cool designs, and they're purchasing because they like the artist, not necessarily because it's something that they've drawn that they're familiar with. So I'm looking at maybe starting to set up a shop in some of these and see how those do. I don't know. I mean, it could, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's not worth my time either, but it looks like that might be an avenue to go. Also, I've been doing some just store signings where I've done like sketches and things and just sell comic books, kind of, a little more basic, me just focusing on the comics. That's tended to do pretty well, so I'm going to do that. But there's just other areas and other things that I want to do that I think are more valuable for my time. Moving more into creating my own digital products, because really just the ramp up to to getting ready for these shows. I mean, it's intense. There's a lot of stuff you go into, and I didn't even really make a whole lot of changes. I mean, most of the stuff you saw me showing in the beginning there, a lot of that is very similar to what I did last year. So, but still, even with that, there's just so much prep that goes into a comic convention, at least the prep that I put into it. It just, at this point, you know, and I could say it's an off year, but judging by the way I've heard everyone else, and that's why I kind of wanted to use this topic and talk to some other people. I think for me, at least right now, comic conventions aren't in the future for me. At least not these big comic conventions. You know, unless, you know, if I have been invited as a guest to Phoenix Fan Fusion before, and that was great, and that does help alleviate some of that table cost. But other than that, I just can't see, you know, sinking my time and effort and everything into something that really very, you know, there's just not a lot of payoff in monetary respect. Because, I mean, there's a lot of things I still love about conventions. I mean, I got to meet some incredible people. I got to table next to a creator, an Alterna creator. If you know me, I like Alterna Comics, and Patrick Trahey is the creator of the 12. It's an Alterna comic, one of my favorites. So it's kind of cool. And just a lot of other people, man, the people across from me, you know, I mean, everyone kind of that I exhibited around, they were just great. And I love that experience, and I'm kind of going to miss that, but and I'm gonna miss, you know, the other thing I noticed was a lot of my regular people, and I've talked to some other people that, you know, they said they're regular people that they usually expect, they just didn't show up. So, and a lot of people, I noticed at this particular con, they just didn't seem like it was their thing. Sometimes what cons will do if their attendance starts to drop in order to kind of boost those, and I'm not sure if that's the case with this, but they'll start giving away tickets on, you know, radio stations and things like that. And although that could be a good thing because it could expose people to something that they're not normally familiar with, and they could become fans. That is a possibility, but I think a lot of people are just, you know, they're kind of there just to check out the spectacle, and they're not really there to buy. A lot of people not caring. I didn't see a lot of people, as many people carrying around things, and as far as people just walking around, you could tell there were a lot less people. So yeah, that's kind of, it's a sad thing to see because I really love that convention, or I have loved it. I think there's a lot of, lately there's been a lot of cost saving things and this could be because of the extra cost involved in the security. And I don't know if other conventions have this much security, but you know, they're kind of playing with fire if they don't, because what could have happened at Phoenix Comic Con in the past could definitely happen somewhere else. So maybe these other conventions aren't having to spend as much money on security, because it is, you can tell the operations going on, it is a lot of money. So they've had to probably, because of this, I'm sure that's why the cutbacks, but there's just a lot of things like, you know, Artist Alley used to have pipe and drape, no more, you know. I remember, you know, there used to be volunteers that came around and asked if you need anything and would bring water and stuff, which not every con does that, and that's fine. So, I mean, I'm kind of seeing Phoenix sort of trending more towards kind of being like every other con, which, you know, it was kind of a special con before. It was just the way it was run and everything. And I understand that there's all these added expenses with security and everything, but you know, it just all takes a toll, especially takes a toll on me, and it just doesn't, I just don't see, you know, see this the way it is right now. You know, I would love to see them scale back, because it also, I think they're trying to grow. I mean, keep trying to expand, and you know, I don't know, I don't think the prices are going up, but that could be a price, that could be, you know, they did drop the prices a little bit, but I think again you're getting less for what you did. There's no pipe and drape. There's, you know, we used to get garbage cans, things like little things like that do add up. So you know, I think they kind of need to scale back. Personally, and hopefully, you know, hopefully things will bounce back. But I don't know. Right now, it's not a thing. It's just not something that I can consciously, you know, invest my time and effort into. And it's a sad thing, because if you've watched my channel, you know, I know a lot of people. One of the cool things that I did like about this con was. A lot of people did come up to me saying that they saw me on YouTube, and a lot of people say, you know, because I've done a whole series on exhibiting at cons, and a lot of people said they were there because of me and they got started and everything. So that's good to hear. And it's kind of weird for me to kind of be the guy saying that, yeah, for me, Comic Cons, I just don't see that being a thing for me right now. At least the traditional comic conventions. I'm looking at other areas. So for now, I'm really going to concentrate on some other things that I've really been wanting to get to, focusing on digital products. I really want to get into doing a Patreon. I've had a number of people ask, do you have a Patreon? Are you going to start a Patreon? And for me, the newsletter right now kind of is acting as a dry run for my Patreon, because if I can keep up with that, I know I can keep up with the Patreon, because I follow a few people that it seems like Patreon for some people is hard to keep up on, and if I'm going to start that, I know I want to keep putting things out and provide value for people and everything. That's kind of where things are for me. And like I've said, I've talked to some people, you heard some people talk. I'll probably reference that article by Jake Parker if I can remember, about his steadily declining numbers at conventions. And I've talked to some other people, and not necessarily. I talked to Will Tarry at this convention just briefly in passing. We were kind of walking to the event, and I kind of asked how it was going, and at least this show for him, it was the same way. And I didn't talk to very many people at all that were doing good. So again, it's unfortunate, but that's the way things are. So for me, I'm going to take a break from Comic Cons, and I'm going to do some new things, and I'll tell you how those new things go, because I want to. There's always going to be a place to market your goods, and whether that another avenue for me, because the things that I do are more science-centric, with the mad science thing and everything. Thinking I really need to focus on that crowd, because I like celebrity autographs, I like Deadpool prints, and all that kind of stuff. That isn't my crowd. Those people have no interest in what I'm doing. So why am I going to a place where that's primarily what people are interested in, when there are other places that I can reach my core audience? So that's something you have to think about as well. But anyway, this has been sort of a longer episode, but there's just been a lot on my mind. But I do want to know what you guys think. Where do you think comics are trending? Are you guys still doing Comic Cons? Are you still earning, if you've been doing it for a while, you still kind of earning what you have? Have things got better for you? Have things steadily gotten worse, like I've heard from a lot of people? I want to know, because I want to know what's working, and if I hear something else that's working, maybe it's something that's worth me looking into. So let me know in the comments section, and if this has been a downer, I apologize, but yeah, it's just kind of I'm in a weird situation, because I've always dug doing this stuff, and for me to kind of be the one that says, yeah, I just can't do this anymore, it's kind of a weird thing. But anyway, thanks for watching. I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media. Do you like making comics? Then go to Surfworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more. And best of all, it's totally free.